She tilted her glass and gave that half smirk she'd perfected over the years. So you're consulting now? The word stretched like gum between her teeth. That's code for unemployed, right? I watched the candlelight flicker across her cheekbone. It's project-based, I said evenly. She hummed. Flexible hours, lots of free time. Bet you're loving the soft life. She winked at the waiter as he cleared our appetizer plates. I keep telling Brian I need a job like that. I doubt you'd like it, I said. No office politics to stir. She laughed. You always had that sharp tongue. Guess it comes with the territory. I reached for my water. Jenna always needed to win the table. What was it you used to do? She asked, like she didn't know. Strategy director, I said. Right. For that mid-tier firm. She folded her napkin with theatrical precision. Shame they downsized. They didn't. She blinked. Oh. I didn't explain. Let her fill the silence. She leaned back, studying me. You've changed. I tilted my head. How so? Less anxious, she said. You used to over-explain everything. Now you're just smiling like you know something. Maybe I do. Her eyes narrowed, but only for a second. I always said you'd land on your feet. No, you didn't. But I nodded. You know, I'm considering a change too, she said, swirling her Merlot. I'm done carrying half my department. They'd collapse without me. You sure? I asked. That kind of confidence can be expensive. She laughed again. Please. Everyone wants me. I just have to decide who deserves me. The waiter brought the check. She didn't reach for it.as I signed. She leaned in. We should do this more often. You keep me grounded. Do I? You're the serious one, she said. Makes me feel balanced. I slid my card back into my clutch. Happy to be of use. We walked out into the street. She paused under the awning, fixing her lipstick in her phone's reflection. You coming to the reunion next month? She asked. Maybe? You have to. Everyone will be there. I already RSVP'd. With Brian. We're staying at the Four Seasons. Impressive. She winked. You should come. I'll make sure they sit us near the front. It'll be fun. It always was for her. She hailed a car. Same number? She asked, stepping into the back seat. For now, I said. She blew a kiss. Don't disappear on me, boss lady. I watched her door close. Watched the driver pull away, and I stood there, alone under the lamplight, in a dress I paid for myself, in shoes she once mocked, with a career she'd never see coming. When the car turned the corner, I let the smile go inside. Something sharp clicked into place. We met over flashcards and late-night fries. She was brilliant in bursts, never studied until the night before, never failed a thing. I admired her once. Do you remember Professor Malik? I asked over coffee the week after dinner. Jenna snorted. The one who told me I had unshakable confidence. The one who told you to cite your sources. She laughed. God, he hated me. He didn't hate you. He wanted you to do the work. She sipped her latte. I did the work. I just didn't parade it around like you did. I looked at her. You used to underline your notes in 4 colors, she said, leaning back. Color-coded ambition. It was cute. No one called it cute when you did it. Exactly. She tapped her nails on the cup. Different rules. There it was again, her favorite theme. The world was harder on her, so she got to be harder on everyone else. We used to pull all-nighters at my place, I said, because you hated your roommate. She grinned. Remember when she brought home that guy who ate all your almond butter? You told him it was yours. She shrugged. He was hot. He was stoned. Still hot. I smiled. The nostalgia was real. So was the distance. I found the internship listing, I said. For Price and Thorne. You didn't even want it until I read the description out loud. True. But I got it. I know. You were so pissed, she said, teasing. No, I said. I was surprised. She blinked. You nailed it. You charmed them. They remembered your name. They remembered my laugh, she said, smiling. That office was full of men. I knew the game. I nodded. And you? She asked. You went to that NGO after graduation. What was it called again? Rivers Project. Right. The one in Kenya? Uganda. She waved her hand. Somewhere. Noble. I remember thinking, wow, she really believes in that stuff. I still do. She glanced at me, unsure if that was a dig. I couldn't have done it, she said. Too much sacrifice. Too little air conditioning. You told me. I was wasting my degree. Did I? On your birthday. You spilled champagne on my scarf. Oh, she laughed. That night was chaos. You were so mad. No. I just didn't like feeling small. She looked up, because I'd spent months fundraising, living on lentils, writing reports no one read. And when I came back, all you saw was the fact that I didn't have a title. Jenna didn't respond. Her fingers traced the rim of her mug. It's not about then, I said. It's about now. And how you still talk like that girl in the red dress who never noticed what was left behind when she walked into a room. She tilted her head. Are you saying I've changed? I'm saying you haven't. She sat back. That's harsh. No, I said. It's history. She crossed her legs. So what are we doing here? You airing grievances? No. Just connecting dots. She looked at me with something new, restraint, maybe even caution. I didn't realize you held. On to things, she said finally. I don't, I said. I just remember the ones that mattered. The silence stretched. Her jaw worked like she was grinding through a thought she didn't want to say out loud. You always made me feel like I had to prove something, she said. Quiet now, you didn't. But I did. You were the gold standard. Everyone loved you. Professors, recruiters, even my dad. I blinked. Your dad called me forgettable. Exactly, she said. To me. Because he wanted me to feel like I had something over you. I leaned back. You were always composed, she said. And I was always louder. So I leaned into it. And I guess I never stopped. I didn't answer, she breathed out. Anyway. I'm glad you're doing well. I didn't say I was. You don't have to. The call came at 9:04 a.m. sharp. My phone buzzed on the edge of my desk just as I finished typing the last sentence of a project brief. Daniel. I answered, already knowing. Hi. Got a minute? For you? Always. He exhaled softly. This isn't public yet. You understand? Of course. There's been movement at the regional level. The board met late last night. They've asked me to approach you about stepping in. Interim, for now. But you know how these things go. How long do I have to decide? A pause. You were their only name. I nodded, though he couldn't see it. What do? I need to know. James is out. Personal reasons. You'll be briefed on the details once it's official. Right now, it's eyes only. And the team? They'll be notified Friday. Until then, we keep it sealed. And Jenna? I asked. Another pause. She'll find out when the others do. Understood. You okay with that? I don't need her to know yet. He hesitated, then said, I figured. I stood, walking toward the window, phone still pressed to my ear. The city looked different from up here, slower, deliberate. What else? I asked. You'll report directly to the board. You'll have full autonomy. Budget discretion remains, but strategic calls are yours. And, he added, they trust you. I said yes the moment I picked up, Daniel. He chuckled. I know. But I had to say it all anyway. When do I meet them? Tomorrow morning. We'll send the packet today. You'll need to sign a few things. Send it. I'll clear my afternoon. You always do when it matters. Exactly. He lowered his voice. Congratulations. It's not official yet. It's earned. I hung up and let the silence stretch. My reflection in the glass was steady, chin lifted, hands calm.my inbox pinged. Subject line, confidential, transition. Materials. I opened the folder, scanned the names, the charts, the territory breakdown. Jenna's name sat under Associate Director, Client Strategy. I stared at it for a long time, then I closed the file. There were no confetti cannons. No champagne. Flutes. Just a quiet moment in a room I'd grown in, listening to my own breath. It was enough. 2 hours later, Daniel called again. One thing, he said. You'll need to draft a brief note for Friday's rollout. Something short. Friendly. Confident. Of course. Jenna's team reports to you now. I figured. If you'd prefer, I can sit in on that one-on-one when it happens. No need. You sure? She won't see it coming. That's the point. He was quiet. You know, I've watched you do the work for years. I know. And I've watched her take up more air than credit. I know that too. This isn't personal, is it? No, I said. It's structural. He laughed. God, I love your mind. I smiled. Send me the rest. I'll be ready. The email came at 2:17 a.m. Subject, favor, body, hey you, totally off the record. Word is there's an opening for senior strategy lead. I'm going for it. Would love a friendly vote in the pile if you hear anything. XO, J. There was a resume. Attached. I stared at it for a full minute before clicking download, her name in bold. Jenna Hollis. Clean margins. Buzzwords stacked like matchsticks. Brand synergy. Cross-platform alignment. Thought leadership. Not one measurable result. I printed it on heavy stock, because it felt appropriate. Sat at my kitchen counter, black coffee in hand, and read every line slowly. By page 2, I had the highlighter in hand, missing months. Inflated titles. A strategic partnership, she once mocked in my living room over wine and sushi. You'd never catch me in a role like that, she'd said, tipping her glass. Too dusty. Now it sat listed as a cornerstone of her professional pivot. I circled it. She had no idea whose desk this would land on. No idea what I now saw with perfect clarity, a history of loud ambition with no weight behind it. At noon. She texted, Jenna, did you see my email? Smiley face. Felt weird to ask but figured, who else knows my work ethic like you, me? I saw it, Jenna. LOL. Okay, woman of mystery, let me know if you hear anything. Seriously, I could do that job in my sleep. She could. And she had, slept through the meetings, the deliverables, the real work, while I held the ceiling up. At 4:45 p.m., Daniel knocked on my door. He stepped in, closed it gently behind him. She applied. I know, I said. He held up the resume. Want to weigh in? Not yet. She listed you as a reference. Did she? Daniel smirked. She doesn't know? No, he Saturday. You planning to tell her before interviews begin? No, you want me to handle it? No, he tapped the folder on his knee. You really want her on your team? No, I said. But I want her to walk into the interview believing she's already been chosen. He leaned back. Cold. Accurate. Daniel studied me for a moment, then nodded. You know, I used to think you were too soft. I used to be. He stood. Her interview's Friday at 10. I'll be ready. Friday came. 10 on the dot, she walked into the glass conference room wearing confidence like perfume. Surprise, she said, laughing. Didn't know you'd be in on this one. I'm chairing the panel, I said, offering no seat. Her laugh thinned. Right. Of course. Daniel nodded to the others. We'll give you 2 a minute. They filed out. Jenna turned toward me, face composed. Shoulders drawn back. Wasn't expecting you, she said. Guess this makes things interesting? It does. Just so we're clear, she added quickly, I didn't mean anything by that consulting joke. You know I support you. I raised an eyebrow. She smiled too wide. We've always rooted for each other. Right? Let's begin, I said. She blinked. Are we? Okay. I set the printed resume between us. You listed me as a reference, I said. Without asking. I assumed you shouldn't have. Her tone turned careful. I thought it would help. You thought proximity meant permission. Silence. I reviewed your file, I continued. There are gaps, exaggerations, and a glaring pattern of credit claimed and accountability dodged. That's not fair. But it's accurate. Jenna crossed her arms. Are you rejecting me? I'm evaluating you. She stepped closer. Is this about the joke? Come on. This is about what you've shown up as, for years. She flushed. You think I don't work hard? I think you talk harder than you work. Her jaw locked. You're enjoying this. No, I said. This is the part one hate. But clarity matters. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the woman in front of her. I let her sit with it. The door opened. Daniel returned. Ready? Yes, I said. We're done. Jenna didn't speak as she left. I didn't watch her go. The glass door swung open, and Jenna walked in with that rehearsed strut she'd mastered in college, heels sharp, confidence louder than the room required. 2 minutes late, she didn't see me right away. Her eyes scanned the other panelists first. Then her gaze snapped to the head of the table. Me, she blinked. Yes, I said, without rising. Let's begin. The air stilled. Her mouth parted slightly, but no sound came. Daniel cleared his throat. Jenna Hollis. Thank you for coming. Let's start with your current role. Walk us through your most recent strategic initiative. Jenna sat slowly, the smile stiff on her lips. Of course. At Ralston, I spearheaded the rollout of our multi-tier client segmentation protocol. It improved engagement by 11%. Daniel jotted something down. I didn't move. And what was your role, specifically? I asked. I oversaw cross-functional collaboration. I brought together design, data science, product. You coordinated? Yes, but I also designed the framework. Alone? Well, no, it was collaborative. I nodded. So your contribution was management, not architecture. Her eyes flicked to me. Both. I managed people and strategy. Then I'd love to hear how you calculated that 11% lift. She hesitated. Was it user surveys? A/B testing? Baseline deltas? Jenna opened her mouth, closed it, then laughed lightly. It was, based on engagement metrics over 3 months. I'd have to dig into the specifics. Please do. She shifted in her chair. This feels a little pointed. It's an interview, I said. Not a favor. Daniel glanced at me. I didn't look back. Jenna adjusted her blazer. I didn't expect this kind of tone from you. I'm the interim division head. I set the tone. She looked like she wanted to argue. Then remembered the room, right, she said softly. One of the other panelists, Adrian, picked up the next question. Jenna's answers became vaguer. The cadence she usually relied on to impress fell flat. Her practiced charm faltered against data she couldn't cite. When the final question wrapped, I stood. Thank you, Jenna. We'll be in touch. She didn't move, the others rose and stepped out. Daniel gave me a glance on his way out, measured, unreadable. The door shut, she exhaled. You could have warned me. This isn't personal. Isn't it? I sat again. Did you think I wouldn't notice you weren't ready for this role? I thought we were friends. We were. And now? Now, I'm in charge of building a team that can actually lead. Her face stiffened. So that's it? You humiliate me in front of a panel. No one else knew the history. Only you and me. You think you're better than me now? I think I've always worked harder than you. You just talked louder. Her breath caught. I remember every internship you coasted through. Every group project you presented but didn't build. Every time I let it slide because we were friends. Jenna's voice cracked. So you were keeping score? No, I said. But I was paying attention. She stood. This is pathetic. It's overdue. You're going to regret this, she snapped. No. I'll remember it. She stared at me like she was trying to summon the version of me that used to flinch. But that woman didn't live here anymore. Jenna turned, yanked the door open, and disappeared into the hallway. I stayed seated for another minute. Let the silence reset the room. Then I stood, gathered my notes, and moved on. She brought slides. Of course she did, polished, minimal, all buzzwords and bevels. Jenna always did know how to perform professionalism. The table lights dimmed, and she flicked through the first 5 like a TED talk she'd watched too many times. Here, she said, is where we find the sweet spot between growth and elegance. That's where brand loyalty lives. I didn't blink. Nice phrase, Daniel offered. Thank you, she smiled. Slide 6 arrived. More trend lines. She leaned in. This proposal pulls from campaigns I led at Ralston and modeled against. Quick question, I said. Which metrics did you use for success? She clicked the remote. The next slide came too slowly. Well, obviously, conversion rates, but also engagement, and brand sentiment analysis. Run through your methodology. I didn't do the data pull myself, but, so you didn't? I directed the analysts. The vision was mine. And if the numbers hadn't supported your vision? Her voice thinned. I would have recalibrated. How? She smiled tightly. I adapt. I don't panic. Good. Walk us through a failure. A pause. Then a tilt of her head. I don't fail, she said. I redirect. Daniel gave a light chuckle. I didn't. Something real, I said. A campaign that underperformed. A budget you misread. A client who didn't renew. Anything. Her gaze met mine, sharp, defensive. I just outcharmed them, she said. The room stilled. I nodded. That won't work here. The projector fan hummed. Her lips parted as if to recover, but she didn't. Continue, I said. She clicked again, quieter now. The rest of her pitch was a dissent. Her voice stayed smooth, but her shoulders dropped, and her eyes lost their spark. When she finished, she didn't ask for questions. She sat, crossed her legs, waited. Daniel looked toward me. I leaned forward. Let's talk about the rebrand you mentioned. You referenced user personas. Who wrote them? Our design lead. Not you. I collaborated. What did you contribute? Tone. Emotional mapping. Copy? No, I let the silence stretch. You called this campaign data-driven, I said. But it sounds like you delegated the data. I lead from instinct, she said, sharper now. That works, until it doesn't. She frowned. You've never trusted me, have you? This isn't about trust, I said. It's about clarity. And what's clear to you? That you prepared a performance. Not a plan. Her hands tightened on the table. You're punishing me, she said. For one joke. I blinked. You think this is about the wine comment? She didn't answer. You think one line defined you, I said. But this, what you showed us, defined you. I'm qualified. You're rehearsed. And you, she snapped, you're cruel. No, I said. I'm careful. She looked at the panel. No one met her gaze. Her voice dropped. You waited for this. I waited for you to show up ready. And if I had? I held her eyes. Then I'd have hired you. Her breath caught. Not because of the rejection, because of the fairness. She stood, straightened her jacket, noted. She said. She walked out without looking back, and I let her go. She waited outside the glass-walled conference room like a student waiting for a teacher to emerge. When I stepped out, she fell into step beside me. Can we talk? I didn't stop walking. Just for a minute, she said, more quietly. I led us into a side hallway, near the break room. No one around. She crossed her arms, leaned one shoulder against the wall. Why didn't you tell me? I looked at her. Tell you what? She exhaled sharply. That you were in charge. That you'd be sitting at the head of that table. You made your opinion of my work clear. That's not fair. It's accurate. Her arms dropped. You blindsided me. No. You walked in blind. Her voice tightened. So this was about the wine comment? Jenna, I said evenly, if you think this was about one comment, you're still not listening. I didn't mean it. You didn't have to. She stared at me. You really think I don't respect you? I think you respect noise, applause, power when it announces itself. That's not true. You called me unemployed. It was a joke. It wasn't funny. Her eyes flickered. So you kept this from me, on purpose. I stayed silent. She stepped forward. You let me apply knowing I'd be walking into your office. You sent your resume to my personal email. I trusted you. You used me. That's not fair. You asked for a vote, not support. She flinched. You wanted advantage, not advice. Her mouth opened. Then closed. I watched you take up every room, I said, calmly. For years. You never noticed. That was the point. Silence stretched between us like glass. I didn't think, she started, then stopped. I didn't realize you felt that way. Because you never asked. Her shoulders fell. Okay. Fine. You got your moment. You made your point. No. I said. The room made my point. I just gave you space in it. She looked at me then, really looked. Her face softer, but not yet changed. So that's it, she asked. No. That's the truth. She nodded, once. Slowly, you were right about one thing, I added. What's that? You don't fail. You redirect. Her voice was flat. Is that your polite way of saying I lost? It's my precise way of saying this is a turn. She studied me. Then, can we come back from this? I paused, then I said, ask me that question in 6 months. As a peer. Her face tensed. And if I'm not? Then it's still your turn. She didn't speak. Just gave a small, bitter smile. I didn't mirror it. I turned and walked away, and for once, she didn't follow. Elise closed the last folder and leaned back in her chair. Well, she said. That's the list. The conference room was quiet, the hum of HVAC soft against polished glass and high ceilings. I looked down at the names. She made the short list. Elise added, not looking at me. I see that. She's qualified. But not exceptional. I slid her resume to the side. Elise tilted her head. You sure you don't want her in the final 3? No, she'll see the announcement. I know. Elise tapped her pen once, then stopped. She's going to think it was personal. It wasn't. No, she said. It was professional. That's what makes it worse. I met her eyes. She underestimated the room. She underestimated you. Same thing. Elise smiled faintly. Do you want to personally reject her? I shook my head. Let the silence speak. She studied me for a beat. You're not angry. I'm not. You're not smug. There's no win in this. Just clarity. She nodded. That's rarer than most people think. We sat in silence for a moment. The decision made. She'll probably call, Elise said. I won't answer. You're sure? I don't owe her an explanation for my restraint. Elise leaned forward. That's the kind of sentence they write in memoirs. I'm not writing one. Maybe you should. I smiled slightly, then reached for the folder on top. Next. She opened it without comment. For the next 30 minutes, we went through metrics, temperament notes, scenario evaluations. Focused. Neutral. Unmoved. When the session ended, she gathered the stack. Want me to handle the rejections? Yes. All of them? Yes. Elena from comms will probably ask why Jenna didn't make it. She can speculate. People always do. I stood. That's fine. As long as I don't have to. Elise smiled again. You won't. As we left the room, she paused at the door. You played it clean. I played it long. That too. And then she walked off, her heels quiet against the tile. I didn't look back. The notification lit up at 9:42 p.m. Jenna, did anyone hear back yet? The thread name was still Market Mafia, a leftover from late nights in our dorm lounge, pitching imaginary startups over takeout and bad wine. 10 of us. All women. All loud back then and now, just quiet typing dots. Then nothing. She tried again. Jenna, weird silence. Radioactive, even. Haha. I set my phone down and poured water. Walked to the window. Lights across the skyline flickered. People. Still working, still moving, still believing in their own ascent. The phone buzzed again. Jenna, guess I dodged a boring company anyway. The message sat there like a spilled drink no one wanted to mop up. No one replied. I picked up my phone, watched the screen. Maya's bubble appeared, blinked, vanished. Tessa's lit up. Paused. Gone. Even Lindsay, usually quick with a gif, stayed. Invisible. I tapped into Jenna's profile. Her picture was still that rooftop shot, sunglasses, champagne, lips parted mid-laugh. Her bio read, big energy. Bigger moves, she used to call that branding. I used to think it was armor. The silence. Stretched, then Jenna again. Jenna, wow. Ghosted by my own crew? Love that for me. Still, no one bit, not even Arya, who once cried in Jenna's lap over a layoff and now led strategy for a Fortune 50. I looked back at the earlier messages, our birthday notes, the congratulations, the conference pics. A photo from Jenna's bachelorette in Tulum. All smiles. All curated. Now this, just a digital room full of ghosts watching the one who always shouted suddenly speak into an empty hall. The typing bubble started again. Jenna, look, I was kidding about the company thing. I just thought we were all cool enough to laugh. Nothing. I exhaled slowly. Jenna, is this about me not getting the offer? It was the closest she'd come to saying it, and still, no one met her there. No cruelty. No pile-on. Just space. Deliberate. Undeniable space. She couldn't charm it. Couldn't frame it. Couldn't spin it. She didn't know yet that sometimes silence is a verdict. My phone buzzed once more. Jenna, okay then. Good luck, ladies. I turned the screen face down and let the quiet settle. The room was cooler than it looked, chairs in careful rows, bottled water on every panelist's table, the low hum of pre-event networking. I stayed near the back, near the aisle. Jenna wore ivory. A crisp blouse tucked into a camel skirt. The mic clipped cleanly at her collarbone. She smiled when introduced, wide, polished, empty, and next we'll hear from Jenna Carlisle, on confidence in transitions. She stepped up, heels confident, posture perfect. Thank you, she began, voice carrying. So many of us face moments where we don't land where we expected. I watched her scan the crowd. Her eyes didn't catch mine. Not yet, she continued, and that's where confidence really matters. Not when things go right, but when they don't. Someone near me nodded. Another jotted a note. I've had to reframe setbacks, she said, adjusting her stance. I've had to look at offers I didn't get, and ask, what did I learn? She found me. I didn't flinch, just nodded once. A beat passed. Her throat moved as she swallowed. Then, and sometimes you don't hear back. That's okay too. It teaches you something about silence. About space. She was improvising, about the difference between attention and respect, she said. A woman in the front clapped softly, as if unsure whether it was allowed yet. I've learned to hold the room, even if it's not mine yet, Jenna said. Her voice didn't break. But it wasn't smooth, and she knew I was watching. She shifted back into script. What matters in any transition is that you leave behind shame. That you carry only what belongs to your next version of yourself. There it was again, performance. A mirror without reflection. She took 2 questions. Handled them neatly. Then a moderator rapped, and polite applause filled the room. As the panelists filed off stage, Jenna's gaze returned. I stayed seated. She hesitated, just a second. Then turned, smile in place, chatting with someone new. I slipped out before the lights came up fully. The air outside was warmer, the sun still out, and the silence, I carried it like a gift. Word count, 700 white heavy checkmarks certainly. Section 11, the desk with light. I moved the desk before anyone arrived. It faced the door before, strategic, defensive. Now it faced the window. Clean lines. Soft light. I sat, centered. Morning, director. Elise stood in the doorway, coffee in hand. Morning. She glanced at the repositioned desk. New energy? New priorities. She smiled and slid the folder onto my desk. Q4 numbers. And the proposal from facilities. I'll review both by lunch. Anything else you need? Just a quiet 30. Elise nodded and left without another word. I opened the planner. Blocked hours for product review, budget check-in, one-on-ones. I didn't overfill the grid. Space wasn't a luxury anymore. It was a decision. My phone buzzed. Jenna, still friends, no punctuation. Just enough brevity to pretend it was casual. I turned the screen face down. Across the office, the ficus I never liked was gone. Facilities had removed it on Friday. I hadn't noticed until now. I opened the Q4 file, skimmed line items, redlined the vague ones, tapped. Elise's voice again, softer. Sorry to interrupt. What is it? She stepped inside. Scheduling asked if you're open to mentoring the incoming strategy cohort. I'm considering it. They'd be lucky. I'm not doing it for them. No, she said. You're not. We both smiled. She left. I looked back at the phone, still face down. Jenna's text hovered in my mind like steam off a cup you forgot to drink. Still friends? I thought of her laugh the night of the comment. How quick she was to diminish, how slow she was to notice the cost. How she'd waited until the stakes were personal before checking for impact, and now, this. I tapped the screen. Read the message again. Still friends? No. But I didn't need to type it. Instead, I pressed the lock button again, set the phone aside, turned back to the proposal. Each line I revised felt like motion forward. Unapologetic. At noon, I stood. Walked to the window. The city unfolded quietly. Crisp outlines, blue sky, no one watching. I touched the edge of my desk, then leaned into the light. I didn't need to reply. Some silences are complete.